Michael O'Meara, he's the Executive Vice President of the MTA Authority, PBA. Keeping it on track, right? Yeah. Robert Morris.
Chairman, before we start, I'd like to submit to you a copy of my testimony with redactions included for your review. Thank you. Thank you.
Please begin.
Good morning. Mr. Chairman, distinguished senators, thank you for inviting me to attend this hearing to speak about the serious issues surrounding the MTA police radio communication system. As a brief history, the MTA PBA, the organization that represents the lieutenants, sergeants, detectives, and police officers of the MTA Police Department, filed a complaint with the New York State Department of Labor's Public Employee Safety and Health Office on the inadequacies of the MTA Police Department's radio system in July of 2001, prior to the horrendous attacks of September 11th. After many years of diligent and time-consuming study, the MTA was issued a citation, a violation, and order to comply from the New York State Department of Labor. For the purpose of keeping my comments short, I will say that the report and attached order confirmed what we all knew. The radio system for the MTA police does not work. We have been through many years and many administrations at the MTA, and until just a couple of years ago, the MTA was not serious about fixing the problems of the radio system. This, however, is not the case presently. Under Jay Walder's direction, who's the present chairman and executive director of the MTA, coupled with the hard work and dedication of our former director of security, William Morange, the radio project took on a new life. And I am pleased to say that we have made more progress in the last 2 years than the previous 8 combined. I have had a number of meetings with our new director of security, Douglas Ziegler, and I am pleased to report that he has assured us that this project is one of his top priorities, and we have confidence in his leadership on this issue. With all these good things to say, you may wonder why I'm here. The answer to that lies in my cautious attitude and worry over the funding for this necessary project. One of the deleterious outcomes of the fiscal crisis facing our state and nation is the need to cut funding to many worthwhile projects. The MTA PBA has fought for 10 years to get a reliable communication system for the police officers of the MTA Police Department, and we would like to see progress continue on this project. The safety and well-being of the millions of commuters who count on us for police and medical service deserve better. This is not an optional project. It is a necessary one. As stated earlier, the MTA was cited by the Department of Labor for failing to furnish each of its employees, and this is a direct quote, a place of employment which are free from recognized hazards that are causing or are likely to cause death or serious physical harm to its employees. That was in the citation from the Department of Labor of New York State to the MTA. We believe.
Can I just ask a direct question
Sure.
on that? Not to interrupt, but I will. I understand that things seem to be working, at least progressing better than they have in the past. But just so we understand it, at this point, where are we? What's the status when it comes to communication, and what needs to be done in a partnership with the members that you represent?
Well, right now, the status of the communication system is the same as it was when we filed the complaint.
Which is, repeat that date?
We filed it in July of 2001. Now, over the many years, the project is a multi-million dollar. We're talking about over the first 8 years, they were projecting $200 to $300 million, because we go from Montauk to Poughkeepsie to Port Jervis, into Staten Island, and into New Haven, Connecticut. So to fix the radio system, now, and like I said, in the 2 years since Bill Morange and Jay Walder took over, they put new management in charge of the project. They've been able to identify cost savings measures, and they think that they can fix the problem with the money they've already set aside, which is in the neighborhood of $100 million.
So this, and let's just understand that the federal Department of Homeland Security has spent over $100 billion in grants throughout the United States of America. So this is a large number. But I just so people know, whether it be in the media and other people who are attending and the senators who are here today, when you say you cannot communicate, it doesn't work, can you specifically explain what you mean to an officer on the line today, what that means?
If there's a smoke condition on a train in Penn Station, unknown cause, and the police officers in Penn Station go into that tunnel, they can't communicate with each other, with the police department, with the fire department, with the New York City Police Department. They can't communicate with anybody. They might as well, leave their radio at the base of the tunnel. The radio system doesn't work in tunnels, doesn't work on board trains, doesn't work in buildings, which is most of the area we cover. If you stand between the running rails on the railroad and you transmit, you probably, on a clear day with no obstructions, you probably will be able to communicate with somebody.
How old is that system?
It's the same system I was in place when I got hired 20 years ago, and it didn't work then.
And when a part breaks, where do you get it from?
I think they're harvesting parts from systems that have been replaced already because they don't even really make parts for the system anymore.
Senator Golden?
The system to fix that is a simple running of a antenna wire system throughout the system that would be able to correct this communications problem, not just for you, but for the other responding emergency services from other agencies. Am I correct?
If you ran an antenna through the tunnel, yes.
And what's the cost of that? Do we know?
I have no idea, Senator.
Is that being entertained?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not here really to bash the MTA per se.
No, we're not even. We're here to get
they're moving forward now, but it's only been in the last couple of years.
Don't they have the television wires going through, the video wires that are going through a number of stations and into a number of locations? Is that video wire, can that be used to help the antenna situation that you have?
I don't know. I'm the
Buddy,
executive
that?
vice president of PBA, not the radio technician.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to know
Yeah.
if you can. The
Yeah.
object of the game is to try to get everybody to work together, not to find blame, but to find how we can make sure we save lives going forward. That's the reason for these, but thank you.
No, and I thank you. And after 9/11, we believe this was the first time in New York State and possibly the entire United States that a police department had been cited for a failure of its radio system. In the aftermath of September 11th, the buzzword for emergency responders was communications interoperability. We would love to achieve interoperability, but we first need to attain simple operability within our own police department.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to go back to that point.
Sure.
So one of the dictates of the 9/11 Commission, the things that the problems that were seen on that day, is the interoperability of agencies. So you're here just to say that at this point, that you cannot communicate, your officers cannot communicate, your men and women cannot communicate in your own department.
That's right.
And then there's a larger issue of interoperability that still, nearly 10 years after 9/11, has still not been addressed.
Right, and Senator, to your point earlier with the federal stimulus money and the budgets and the grants, the problem with that is that the grants are for interoperability. We don't need interoperability. We need to fix the radio system, so we don't fit the grant.
Right.
The MTA had to put aside the money in this day and age to fix the radio system and loathe to do that because of the fiscal crisis, but they have. So, like I said, I'm not really here today to bash the MTA. I think they're moving forward. They're making progress in the last 2 years, but they have put aside money. But I want to make sure that the money stays there. They put aside money a couple of years ago, too, and then they took it back because the capital program was failing, because of other areas they needed money, and the police communication system fell to the wayside. I just want to make sure that we continue this worthwhile project, that the funding continues to be put aside, and the funding remains in place, and we continue to work on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, we'll move to Robert Morris. Robert?
There's a schedule switch, Cyrus.
Robert's here right now, right? So